Now let's run the software upgrade system. Software upgrades are a big part of the UCS. So what they will ask you in the lab is probably configuring some firmware management packages. So just clicking the right software versions with the right components and applying them to a service profile. That's probably going to happen. But I want you to see how you can do software upgrades. If you go to the Equipment tab and to the Equipment item here in the list view, there is a tab called Firmware Management, and that is a big tab that will collect all software versions running in the system. So here I see that I'm running 205B in the entire system. So every server, every BIOS version, every CIMC, all of them are configured to run a specific version. Fabric interconnects, Fabric extenders, so the I/O modules are running a software version, and of course the UCS manager is running a certain software version. Now to do the software upgrade, there are some things to think about. First of all, I need to install the new software version. Now I already downloaded the software version towards the desktop, so this can be quite quick. If you need to do this in the lab, they will have the software installed for you as well, where installed means the image is being uploaded to the UCS. That is done in the download task window. So inside the download task window, I can upload a local image or an image which is on a FTP server, for example. And I will say, all right, upload this. It's going to show me how far it will get. Now this is about 800 megs of software. And there are two images. Actually, there are three images. There is an image called the A image, which is called as the infrastructure image. Infrastructure image contains software for UCS Manager and for the Fabric interconnects. The second bundle, which is the B series configuration, that is everything related to the B series blades. So all the blades, all the adapters, all the I/O cards, all the disk drivers, RAID controllers, everything in there. So that is the B series. And the C series or the C image is for the C series servers. So all the rack servers that are allowed to connect, all the Fabric extenders that connect those rack servers, and all the adapters that fit into the rack servers. So a lot of configuration that you need, or a lot of software images that you need to maintain, but usually you will use two images for the infrastructure side and for the bundle side. So they can be updated independently. If there is a bug in some driver, you do not need to update the Fabric interconnect, for example, but just the blades, or vice versa. So that's why they segmented that. So what I'm doing now is just uploading the image, which is 65% done right now, and we're just waiting for the image to upload there. After the upload, it's going to extract it, and it's going to see what's inside of it, and it will show you all the different software versions it's installing. Or installing, just setting it, basically creating a repository with all kinds of different software versions. That's what you will make. You will make a very big repository with all kinds of different software images for all kinds of different components. And as soon as I start upgrading a component, I can select that via drop-down boxes. So I will show you, in this case, the bundle is being upgraded. So it's going to unpack it. So I'm going to install the other one. Going to take some time again. During that time, we can check the unpacking of the B series bundle. It's still going on. And then as soon as that is done, you will get in the packages window, I can see all components that are in that package that I just uploaded. So it contains all kinds of different blades, all kinds of different adapters, as you can see here, to install everything. So the B203, CIMC, the BIOS version, all kinds of other things. Same for the infrastructure bundle that will contain the UCS Manager, will contain the Fabric Interconnect software, and will contain the Fabric Interconnect software, Fabric Extender software, and the Manager. And here you can check another list, very detailed on which software versions are available on your system. So nothing is installed right now. It's just setting up a repository of all kinds of different components and different software versions for those components. So I'm still at 40%. So just waiting a few minutes. Just takes a while. This process has changed, by the way, in 2.1, which I will come back to tomorrow morning. So there is an easier way of updating software than I will show you right now. But this will be the most safest way of doing it. So this is a way that you will ensure that you will not have any downtime on your servers, or not on all the servers itself. So it's just going to be a per server reboot, for example, but it's not going to reboot all the servers at once or destroy all network connectivity. This is a very graceful way of doing it. And by the way, the speed of the software upgrade, if you do this at customers, is determined by how much blades I can put in maintenance. So if I'm running ESX, I can put blades in maintenance mode. The more I can put in maintenance mode, the more I can reboot at the same time. So that's going to speed up your upgrade process a lot. So the upgrade of the blades takes the longest time. So for the B series, we already unpacked everything. If I check the packages here, I see that I now have a 213 bundle for the B series. Oh, and I'm getting one for the infrastructure as well. So that looks good. So I see all the software versions in here. Everything else that I'm going to allow here. And my Fabric Interconnects and everything else. And I will zoom the view. Sorry. So here is everything that I need. So everything is unpacked. Let's check the download task. Yeah, both are at 100%. So my images are downloaded correctly and installed in the repository. The next step is doing the order of operation. Order of operation in the software upgrade is very important. Like I said, this is going to change in 2.1 because we have some more options to do a software upgrade. What I like to do now is run you through the order of operation for this. The first thing that so what you usually do is you'll work your way back from being more specific to being more globally. What this means is that take a look at our system. So we have a blade. Within the blade, we have the CIMC, we have an adapter, we have a rate controller. So we have a Palo card, we have a rate controller. Those components need to be upgraded. This connects to a FEX. This connects to a Fabric Interconnect. And in the Fabric Interconnect, this is managed by the, wait a second, I need to insert something in between. Everything is managed through the UCS Manager. And of course, the FEX connects to the Fabric Interconnect. This is the order how I'm going to upgrade my system. So the first step is reboot the blade. So install the software version and reboot the blade to ensure that it's running the latest versions. this will cooperate with each other. During the upgrade, I will not have an optimum setup and I might experience some performance impacts out of this, but I will never experience outages. Of course, always read the release notes if you can upgrade from one version to the other. Maybe you need some intermediate version to upgrade to before you go to your final destination. But usually a lot of things are supported. So first we upgrade all the blades. When we're done upgrading all the blades, we go on to our FEXes. So I would just put this blade into maintenance, especially when running a hypervisor, move all your virtual machines off the blade, power it down, do the upgrade and power it back up again. So after all the blades have been rebooted, so this takes the most of the day, right? This can take you all day, depending on how much blades you have. Next, upgrade the FEX. And I do not say reboot the FEX because I cannot reboot the FEX. I can only upgrade it. Why? FEXes will automatically reboot when their parent reboots. And because the FEXes are a fabric extender towards the fabric interconnect, so this is the parent switch. So as soon as I upgrade one of the fabric interconnects, it will automatically reboot the connected FEXes. And they will start running their new software version as well. And then finally, so let's do some of the things before we get started. So first, we will do an upgrade of the blade. And meaning every component that we can put into a blade, right? So the BIOS version, the CIMC, the RAID controller, and something we call a board controller, for example. What we talked about last week when we talked about firmware management packages. So we can upgrade a blade in two different ways. We can do that through packages, and those packages are connected to a service profile, as we discussed last week, or we can just do it through the firmware management tab. But in 2.0, we are limited in the components that we can upgrade through the firmware management tab. I can only do a full upgrade using a package. So if I show you that, you will see that I can see all components here. But as soon as I say update firmware and I go into my chassis and I go into my server, I can no longer select the BIOS version. So I can only select the adapter and I can only select the CIMC. So I cannot select the next BIOS version that I want. Why? Because these are controlled by the CIMC and the BIOS is being controlled by the server itself. So I need to run the PNUOS to upgrade my BIOS. And to run the PNUOS, I need a change in my server's profile. So I would be able to select the 2.1 software here and run it here as well, but then I would forget to upgrade the BIOS. So to upgrade the BIOS, what I do, I create a host firmware package. Where I just say, right, so I have, and I can do amongst the BIOS version, I can also upgrade the CIMC and I can upgrade the adapter. So I select, all right, I want my Palo card to run the latest version, the BIOS version for my B200M2. I want that to be running at 213 as well. I do not have a board controller, that's only applicable for full width blades. But I do have a RAID controller, which is my SAS 1064E. And I'm not running 213 here, I'm just running the latest version. Boom. That is my firmware package. Now, what did I not have configured in this firmware package? That is my CIMC software version. So to finish that, I'm going to my management firmware package configuration. And I say, all right, for the B200M2, upgrade the CIMC to 213. And now I go into the blade and say, all right, upgrade. So I go into my blade. This is not connected to a service profile, or actually it is. Let me unbind it from the template. Also a best practice, unbind it from the template, run the upgrade and bind it back to it. Or update your management packages on your service profile template and automatically have all your servers being updated with it. So let me bind it back again to show you that. Connected to the service profile template. I go into my template and I say the policy from firmware is now set to RIX firmware and RIX management. As soon as I click Save Changes, it will say, all right, I need to install a new software image, meaning I will require a user acknowledgement of these 50 blades. So currently I only have one blade connected here, but I can technically have like 50 blades behind here that will immediately start asking for a reboot. That asking for a reboot is done here in the pending activities window. So above here you will see that this triangle starts blinking. And now I can select per server if I want the system to reboot. In this case I want to. So as soon as I click OK, it means the server is starting to reboot. Now when I open up my Java window, I will see that immediately the OS is shut down. And I will start rebooting. So before you do this, before you click that reboot, make sure that your hypervisor is correctly shut down or is correctly set to maintenance mode. So connecting to the KVM system, we're still running the installer, but you will see this getting shut down very soon. So during this process, we can monitor the progress. So we are now waiting, and I think we're waiting for a graceful shutdown, but I don't really care. So I just want to power it off. So it's currently still waiting for something. Hard shutdown is scheduled. Do it. So it's kind of a hard thing to do a hard shutdown when I'm running in the... Yeah, it says waiting for... wait, that's it. Yeah, I forgot about that. It will first start upgrading the CIMC. That's true. As good notice by Faik, we see that we are waiting for the CIMC update. And that's the first step it's going to do. So it's going to first update the CIMC controller. As you can see, it's set to activating right now. Because I cannot issue PneuOS commands anymore when I'm not having access to the CIMC. So I need to have my CIMC in place before I start doing the rest of the upgrade. Otherwise, I will not have a communication path to my server, right? So that's going to take some time. Meanwhile, it's also updating the Palo card. And then finally, it's going to do the BIOS upgrade. And I'm not very sure if we will see the result of the BIOS upgrade, because usually you only see that when the operating system has been booted fully. So that takes some time. So the server is rebooting right now. So now you should usually wait for other components to pass before you to upgrade successfully. Can we check the SFM state? Sure. There you go. So this is the server FSM state, and where we are indeed waiting for the CIMC upgrade. We are losing our connectivity towards the server. So we're just waiting for the upgrade. So normally I would wait for this upgrade to happen properly before I would move on with other stuff. But for now, here we see. We are ready to go. So let's go back to our finite state machine. There we go. We are initializing, so preparing to check the hardware configuration. You can see exactly what's happening here. I might need to start a new KVM session. So currently it's not running the latest version yet, but it has installed the new version. A lot of components in the system have a running version and a backup version, or a startup version and a backup version. So there are two partitions in most of the components, like the fabric extenders, like the CIMCs, like the adapters. They both are running a running version and a backup version. Why is that? Well, if something fails with one component, we're doing things. We're still doing some things with the CIMC properly. This will figure itself out. So it has some error here, but it will figure itself out. It just takes time. So we're discovering some things. There we go, getting the event tree. So waiting for the adapter firmware. Let's check that. So the CIMC is running 213, that's good. Adapter is currently activating or updating its stuff. So we're waiting for that. So it's doing all these new things. All right, so while we wait for the server to be upgraded, we can start doing other things because we do not care about having that upgrade being done without any impact, right? We can do other components while we wait for the server. So the adapter is currently updating, then the BIOS update needs to happen. That takes a long time. So something changed here in my overview. My adapter is now pending the next reboot. Oh, and it rebooted already. So it is at 213 now. The adapter is done. So if we get back to the state machine, we're waiting for a server boot. So let me run KVM. There we go. We are booting the server, and if we're booted the server, you will probably see it booting towards the PneuOS. No need to apologize for asking a lot of questions. That's always good. It's good when an online class gets a little bit interactive. So we're checking for the reboot, waiting for the BIOS post. So very, very good status information here in the FSM. All right, so let's continue. So I already have components that are upgraded. The BIOS will take some time. That always takes time in the GNU OS. So I will move on. As I said, what's my order of operation? We first do the blades, and then second, we will start doing the faxes. So first the blades and then my fax. My fax is easy. Why is the fax easy? Because it is automatically going to be rebooted. I will upgrade only one side for now. So I will say, all right, upgrade the firmware of IO module 1. What this is going to do is it's going to upgrade the backup version of the fax. So it's updating it right now. And as soon as it's updated, I can activate it. And as soon as it's activated, it will wait for a reboot of the Fabric Interconnect to become operational. So here you can see the blade is running its GNU OS stuff, so it's upgrading things. There's not so much you can see here. It is upgrading all kinds of other stuff. So the FSM, it's updating the blade BIOS image right now. So that is the status that we wanted to see. I'm also still updating my IO module, so I'm also waiting for that. And moving on with the next part, I can do multiple things at the same time because my fax is not dependent of the blade, of course. So my fax really doesn't care about the software version of the blade. I upgrade the blade, I upgrade my fax. Then the next step is upgrade the UCS manager. So this is a little bit strange step because it is hosted within the Fabric Interconnect, but I still need to upgrade it separately and I need to upgrade it before I reboot the Fabric Interconnect. This is also the place where new features will become available. So until I upgrade the UCS manager, I will not be able to use new features. Why? Because I do not have the setting. And this is where an important thing between the difference between 2.0 and 2.1 comes into play. So as we talked about, UCS 2.0 does not support fiber channel zoning. Instead, it relies on default zoning. So we give everybody permission to run a zone. So if I have my Fabric Interconnect, my FI, and I'm running a server blade to it, and I connect some local fiber channel storage array directly towards my FIs, I will rely on fiber channel default zoning to make this connection happen between the blade and the appliance. That's what we talked about, right? So this is default zoning. I just allow all the blades access to all the appliances that I connect. No zoning specification. Now, in 2.1, they changed some things. First of all, they are supporting now fiber channel zoning. But the problem with this is that's very good, right? Because now in 2.1, I can zone these two together. So I can now start zoning blade 1 with the appliance and blade 2 with the appliance and so on and so on. How's my server doing? It's booting. So how's my server doing? Ah, it's done. But I shut it down, so I need to boot it manually again. The IO module is still updating. So coming back to the task about 2.1, I support fiber channel zoning. So now I can start defining zones for my appliance directly connected appliances. The problem is I do support fiber channel zoning now, so that's excellent, but they removed the support for default zoning. So what happens now is if I want to upgrade this, I'm going to have an outage, or at least on one side of the link. So this is, by the way, this actually happened with one of my customers. So imagine I have my directly connected storage appliance here, and here, and my blades here. I upgrade my blades, everything's good to go. I upgrade the manager, everything's good to go. The I/O modules. But as soon as I upgrade the UCS manager, I will get access, and I reboot it, then I will get access to the new features. Meaning he will push its configuration now to all the components. And in that configuration, the option to support default zoning has been removed. So it will remove the permit statement that is on here to allow that communication. So it will break everything. It will break communication between the blades and the appliances. No communication possible. What I need to do then is upgrade the FI, because then the hardware options become available. I need to configure storage connectivity policies, as are they called. So configure fiber channel zoning and apply that, and then I restore my connectivity again. But this is causing some outage. This needs to be planned. And of course, same happens on the other side, but now the manager already did break all the communication there. So zoning is very difficult. What I would have liked is if they would allow some default zoning options still in 2.1 and just remove it in the next version. Because now I'm kind of stuck in a chicken and egg problem. I first only support this, and then I do not support fiber channel zoning, and after that I support it directly the other way. So this is an issue. This will cause outage when you're upgrading from 2.0 to 2.1. And as you can see, the BIOS version is now successfully upgraded to 2.1.3. Now all the components in this server are running correctly at 2.1.3. My I/O module has correctly installed the backup version to be 2.1.3, but before that will become available, I need to activate it. So the first step is to upload the firmware package, then update the backup version of all components, and then the final step is to activate it. So on my fabric extenders, I say activate the firmware. Be sure to select the right component here and say, all right, this is now going to run 2.1.3. Be sure that the set startup version checkbox is checked, which is the default, and always ignore compatibility check. Even the Cisco guide for upgrading the UCS says check this box for ignore compatibility check. So I really don't know why they put that checkbox there in the first place, because Cisco doesn't want you to use it. And immediately it's going to tell here pending the next boot. And pending next boot means now you need to reboot this module. How do I reboot the module? By rebooting the Fabric Interconnect. This whole process, by the way, there's a very good document for upgrading the software on the Cisco side, but it's always good to show it here. So I upgraded the I/O module. Now what remains is upgrade manager. So upgrade the manager to 2.1.3. That's going to drop my connection. So as soon as I upgrade the UCS manager software, it's going to immediately drop my connection. That will take some time. So as soon as you click OK here, it will take some time to reboot the manager software and then come back again. So you will lose access to the manager, but your servers will keep on running. You will lose all connectivity to it. So you will lose, or not connectivity, you will lose all insight into it. So you lose connectivity to the Fabric Interconnect, or to the manager it does, but the servers will keep working as they are used to. So Don't be scared that you cannot access the manager anymore. That is by design. Then the last step, after I upgraded my I/O module, I upgraded my manager. The last step in my case is upgrading the FIs. So upgrade the manager. The last step is upgrade my FI. And after that, this is going to upgrade the NXOS version of the Fabric Interconnect. So it's not upgrading the UCS manager. I already did that separately. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is step 4. And this takes time. This whole process takes some time. How do I upgrade the Fabric Interconnect? They don't have the concept of a backup version, just like the manager. So the manager doesn't have a backup version as well, just the other components like the FECs, like the adapters, and like the CIMC controllers. So I do not need to update the firmware because this is going to install it in the backup partition. I only need to activate it. So in this case, I'm going to go into my manager, Fabric Interconnect, select which one, never do them both at the same time because that will cause some serious outage. And select just the right version. So here you can see that the NXOS version actually didn't change. It just stays the same at 503N2, but I do change something about the internal code. So it's always a best practice to keep the software versions the same, even though the NXOS version will not change. Again, ignore compatibility check. And as soon as I click OK now, the Fabric Interconnect is gone. It will immediately reboot towards my new software version. So no questions asked, click OK, it will reboot and it's gone. Of course it will stay in the manager for some time because it will poll the device every now and then. And if it does not do that, then it means that it's still showing up as online, but it's actually rebooting. So it's a good best practice to have your console window open with a console connection to your FI, for example.